for these two resistance to come down. It'll take some time, and for the price to ultimately test them as either break above, test them as support, and ultimately price could potentially go up. But if it does fails to break above them, probably will get another capitulation, but I doubt the capitulation will be lower than the 70,000 that we had. But ultimately price will still break them and go rallying after that. Hello YouTube friends and BCA members. I would like to start off this video with a quick run through of first of all the fear and greed index. As you can see here, today is the last day of July, 31st of July, and the fear and greed index has substantially gone up above the 30 points as we had last week. In fact, if you look at the past 3 months fear and greed index chart, the lowest point was somewhere on the 26th of June, and it has gone up to above close to the, in fact it went past the 40 mark and came down a bit today. But the values on this fear and greed index, the last time that we saw above 40 was in somewhere the 7th of April. So Bitcoin has made much progress as far as the general market momentum is concerned. Okay, moving on to the weekly charts for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone above the 200 moving average as a very important resistance. As we can see, it is for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the sixth week that we have gone below the 200 week. So it was a resistance. Now that the price action has gone above it, hopefully for the bulls, they are able to hold Bitcoin above this 200 week EMA. As long as it's above, then Bitcoin has a chance to stay bullish in the weeks ahead. But of course, I would say that for the past, because we have more or less have a high chance that the June capitulation was the final capitulation, then Bitcoin price probably would stay on range bound, moving sideways anywhere between below the support, the cycle support band, which is this 200 week 21 week EMA and the 20 week SMA. This is the cycle band. I would say that the price, since we're in the consolidation phase, the price probably will range between this cycle band and possibly above the 200 week in months ahead. The price action had been it was below early on. It did break below beginning of the week, but ever since we got the FOMC meeting and the Feds announced that they are going to have the 75 basis points rate hike for the next month, then because this 75 BP was actually priced in the market, that's why the traditional markets and Bitcoin started rallying. So as I mentioned, if we can look at the just a simple forecast, I would think that the price will probably stay range bound between the cycle support band and the 200 week. It could possibly go below the 200 week, but I think for now the chances are slim. It really depends on what moves on in the midterm elections moving ahead, and also whether a recession is actually incoming. A recession announcement will be incoming in the next 2 months. But assuming that that doesn't come in, then I would think Bitcoin will continue to be range bound until we see a price, until we see the cycle band coming down, and the price will probably get tight between this resistance and the support, and finally it would possibly break above the cycle support band, which will be bullish, and price will need to come down, of course, to test the support on the cycle support band, and then move forward, up forward. So that's for the weekly charts. Moving on to the daily charts, first thing to take note of is the RSI indicator on the daily charts. As you can see, we have the RSI still staying above the 50 mark, which is a bullish sign. On top of that, if we are to look at the price action, the price of Bitcoin actually has used the strong support, the horizontal strong support here. That's around 21,000. It actually came down about a week back, and then used that as support to go further north. This support, this horizontal support, actually is the common line that we have on the VRVP indicator. Okay, so this is very strong support here. On top of that, yes, you can see we have a declining funnel, where the top part of this funnel was actually connected between the earlier high in April of around 47,000, and this year on the early of May, and this point here on the 8th of June, we have a top part of the funnel coming down. Bitcoin, as you can see here, it was actually earlier, it was strong resistance, a failure to break above here, and here, came down, but ultimately in the past few days it broke above that resistance. Okay, so it is bullish. I won't be surprised if the price action was to come down a little bit just to test this top part of the funnel, to test it as support before going up further north. Okay. Another important point to take note of is, of course, we have a higher high scenario and a lower low scenario. So the trend in the daily time frame seems to be going up, but we do have strong resistance here, okay, around 28,000. So we'll have to see whether Bitcoin price how it will react with this resistance. Another two more resistance to take note of on the daily charts will be the 200-day moving average, which is the purple line that you can see here. It has acted as strong resistance back in the March of this year, where prices was going sideways, tried to break above it, but as you can see here, it is strong resistance, failed, and that's where we got breakdown here. But this will sooner or later meet up with the price, so we'll see how the price would react with this 200 week. If it does break it, then it is of course possible claim that the consolidation phase may be coming to an end. But there is a chance that it may break down. If it does, the price break down after hitting this, then that could be a capitulation that will mark the end of the consolidation, because after that capitulation, then normally we will see a rally after that. Okay, another resistance that so happened to be in line or very close to the 200 week moving average would be this incline resistance that we can connect from the all-time high of $60 over $1,000 end of last year, and this 40 over 1,000 March of this year. So this decline resistance is also a very well watched resistance by traders. Okay, so it's also coming down, but probably again it will take quite some time for these two resistance to come down. It'll take some time, and for the price to ultimately test them as either break above, test them as support, and ultimately price could potentially go up. But if it fails to break above them, probably will get another capitulation, but I doubt the capitulation will be lower than the 17,000 that we had, but ultimately price will still go rallying after that. That's all I have to share with you as far as TA is concerned on the weekly and daily charts. What we have next is Lyn Alden sharing with you her thoughts of what Bitcoin is to her and what the Bitcoin bulls should be doing in this current bear cycle.
Well, I think given that we're at the the Oslo Freedom Forum, I think the best thing to focus on is the human rights implications. Basically, that it can do things. For example, if Bitcoin didn't exist, I'd be talking probably about gold, right? So that's prior. If you have a stagflationary environment, it's generally those commodities and like the harder monies that hold up well compared to equities or fiat currencies. But now, because we have Bitcoin, we have a competing asset to gold, right? So you can talk about gold and Bitcoin together or competing or however you want to look at it. But then unlike gold, Bitcoin also has a role throughout the world of, peer-to-peer payments. Basically what we've done, or what Satoshi did was, prior to 2009, if I wanted to send money to you long distance, I had to go through an intermediary, a centralized intermediary. And he basically made it so that, for the first time, there's global peer-to-peer money. And that just kind of changes the rules about how all this works, assuming it gets big enough and widespread enough. And so I think it actually has pretty profound, implications for how the global financial system is structured and what it means for people that historically have not been able to save. Most people in the world can't buy the S&P 500. They can't buy the stock markets that have multi-decade stretches just going up in real terms. They can buy local real estate, which is illiquid, non-fungible. They can try to get their hands on dollars. They can buy the local currency. They can buy some gold, but it's generally just not a lot of options. If you're in weak currency environments or weak areas of rule of law where they can just freeze your bank account or things like that, and this just gives them a tool that I think, the more people are aware of it as an option, the better. I think, well, one, that's a good time to build, right? So a lot of the things that we see do well in bull markets were built during bear markets, and so I think that's one thing to focus on. And then two, if someone's bullish on the asset, that's a good time to accumulate. And a lot of people don't want to buy into the spike high. They want to buy when things are low and chopping along and no one's talking about it. So I think it depends on making sure you have the right time horizon and then making sure you have the right risk exposure so you're not overexposed to something that you don't fully understand or that you're concerned about the volatility of.
We hope that you have enjoyed this insightful video report. Please give it a like and do share it with your friends. To explore further on profitable Bitcoin analysis, please check out our live Bitcoin seminars and webinar events. The link access to the event platforms are listed in the description of this video below.